Hello and welcome to another episode of the Christian Reeve podcast. Today's guest is a returning guest from years ago. This is awesome, man. It is Tom Cunningham of The Trusted. Welcome back. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Yeah. I'm back from London, having gone to see you for the first time. Yeah, madness. Been meaning to come and see you guys for a while now. Obviously, first appearance on the show was 2022, although I think I maybe came across you in 2021, maybe.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of waiting for you to come up north, to be honest. And then I was like, this one's in London. All right, I'm just going to go. Fuck it. And yeah, very, very good show. Tight, solid. But how long have you guys been playing now? Like live performances?
The four of us, same four guys, we have been playing together for 8.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, hold up. How old are you guys again?
We're like all our mid-20s. So
you've been doing it a while now.
I mean, Finn and Dave were 15 when we started Trusted.
Damn.
And me and Dale were like, I'd say 18, 19.
I was going to say, like, I think the last time you were on the show, I didn't delve into this as deeply, and I'm kind of... One thing I'll say, when you see you guys playing live, is it's tight, but it's tight where... I'm going to put this. There's like a chemistry there, and it's. I've always said this about any band, like... The most important thing is the chemistry. Like everything else can be learned. You know, if you're joining a band and maybe you're not the world's best bassist or guitarist, it really doesn't matter as long as you put that time in to get the connection down. You know, and the energy was everything that you hear on the albums. It's just interesting to see. I think that. I said this to Finn, the bassist, because we were chatting a lot about just, and we'll get into some details in a bit about where the Trusted is at now. But the thing that I've been sort of scratching my head about for quite some time is how you guys are not just mega like famous at this point. Because there are a lot of talented artists in the UK, a lot of talented musicians. You guys have been going a long time, and like the streams are there. I think Self-Destruct has like 300k or 200k.
Yeah, I mean across, including TikTok, it says like nearly 1 million.
Fuck.
Likes.
Yeah, I mean it's getting noticed, I think.
Yeah,
but I remember I was in that room and I was like, how is this not like absolutely Ramo? Like, how is this not the most spoken about thing ever? Like, how are you guys not headlining? Like, there was a lot of questions in my head where I'm like, I'm scratching my head because you're doing everything right. And the only thing I can come up with is it's just timing. It's just carrying on as you've been doing. And it will come later on. But can you speak to that a little bit? I don't know. How do you feel about the progress of the Trusted right now?
I think like it's all about framing, really, because the way I look at it is, I think people do this thing that when they're not making music or not doing something in the sort of arts, where they kind of view an art form as like you've got like a on and off switch, like making it, not making it kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think that you don't exist until you're at a certain point. But for us, because we've been playing together for so long, for us, the Trusted is a very real thing. And, for us, like, for us, making the music and performing is the main thing. And anything else is a bonus, really. And I think, for us, we make music we want to make, we do what we want to do, and where that takes us is not up to us. That's down to the universe. But I think if you start trying to question, like, you know, why maybe A, B, and C hasn't happened or yet or whatever, I think you kind of fall down a rabbit hole of like, you know, you get into that sort of existential kind of territory. And so I think when you reframe it and kind of look at it like, well, you know, we're making music and we still love making music together and we still love it. And the fact that, you know, you know, 4 of us have lasted longer than some marriages. You know, it's the longest relationship in my life. You
Yeah.
know, it's like being married to 3 people and we've managed to stick together. And I feel like, you know, we have our moments, we have ups and downs, and we have, you know, like any band, you have fallouts, any relationship, you have arguments and whatnot. But, you know, we're still here, and I'd argue that at the moment we're in a very good place. At the moment, the 4 of us, like we've had a good, well, even like from a micro level, a good week, just in terms of like the dynamics in the band. And I think like the secret to music, and I think the one bit of advice you kind of see from anyone who's kind of, you know, anywhere, is it's all about persistence and consistency. And I think you just got to keep showing up, because you are right. It is about timing, and you know, I think like the way you look at any artist is like you do your own thing, and the universe is here, and you've got to wait for the moment where you kind of bounce off the kind of universe. And we haven't quite bounced off universe yet in terms of certain things, but we're going to keep doing what we're doing, and then, you know, if we bounce off it, we do. If we don't, we don't. But we make music we want to make, and we've not changed for anyone. We're very authentically ourselves. And I think, like, you know, it's like anything. You know, if it takes 15 years, 20 years, that's how long it takes. If it takes 5 minutes, it takes 5 minutes. There's a lot of bands we know who started around the same time as us, who got a lot bigger than us, who don't exist anymore, split up, and they've just, you know, lost in the ether. And there's bands who formed, you know, a few years ago who blew up or whatever, and, you know, broke up. So like every journey is different, and you've got to kind of just like enjoy the journey, because, like, you know, at the end of the day, it's about making music and, you know, being a band, and that is what it's all about, and everything else is a bonus. And, you know, that's kind of the way we look at it.
This is why I like you guys so much, because you keep it real, and you're 100% right. You know, like people have asked me with my album, like, oh, how's it going? How's the music
Yeah.
going? And when I was down in the dumps about things, I was like, oh, it's not going well. And then I, you know, I got myself out of that in a good, positive place. And now I look at it the same way that you do. I'm like, there was a time when an album wasn't even a possibility. And now
Yeah.
I have that. It's there, and it's there forever.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, you can always, it doesn't matter now whether the band ends now, 10 years from now, whatever. It's
Yeah.
like the journey is what it is, and you've done all of this, and you can always be proud of that.
Yeah.
Say, we did that.
And the way you've got to look at it as well is like, the thing with like music and making music is like, you know, it's you can't make people like what you do. You know, if we say we can only write one song, that one song was like you release one song, and either, you know, people like it or they don't, and that's it. If you make a song, if people don't like it, that's it. Like, don't like it, that's just the way it is. But if you can only do what, you know, you can only make music that you want to make. You can't, you know, really make music for other people, because that's not really you, is it? And I think as well, it's interesting, this whole idea of like, you know, idea of like making it, like, what, you know, that means different things to different people. And I think a lot of people get confused. I think they think that like one day one thing will happen, then their life will change, and it's all, you know, it's smooth sailing. Because obviously when you look at, you know, biographies and documentaries about big artists, you know, a lot of the time they might focus on some of the bad things, but a lot of it's glossed over, and it's kind of viewed as a very straightforward story of like, you know, we were here and we did this, that led to this, had this one little moment, but then this. But when you're within the actual thing itself, there's probably a lot of things you don't see. A good example being, imagine you're a band and you've just released an album and you're doing really, really well and you're playing arenas, right? And it's great. Then the next album doesn't do as well, and you kind of fall off the kind of cultural plane a little bit, and all of a sudden you're playing theatres. Like, you go from the O2 to Hammersmith Apollo, right? Now, if we were playing Hamptons Apollo tomorrow, it'd be like the greatest thing of all time. Oh God, I can't believe it. This is amazing. But if you were on your last tour playing an arena and then going down from an arena to like Hamptons Apollo, you know, you within the band itself and the management and, you know, the world itself, there's probably a lot of, you know, turmoil and arguments and probably a lot of like work-related depression that kind of comes from, oh my God, I can't believe we were here and now we're here. Whereas bands who are not playing Hamptons Apollo going, I wish I was just playing there. But so I think like problems evolve. You know, I think you could be the biggest artist in the world, but then new problems arrive and you're still struggling with that sort of like, am I doing enough? Am I this? I haven't quite, you know, even though I'm playing on the main stage at Glastonbury, why am I not headlining yet? There's probably a lot of that going on under the surface for a lot of like big acts. So I think like the confusion is, I think for a lot of people, they think there's a moment when suddenly it goes from everything's awful, everything's great. But with music and art, it's always a journey. There's always going to be problems. And it's always going to be like, you know, there's always going to be that sort of like existential dread. I don't care where you are on the, you know, whether you're at the very, very tip of the iceberg or you're at the very, very bottom, it doesn't matter. That dread is still there. It's just in different contexts.
Yeah, and I can think of so many bands that completely fit what you're talking about. Like, for instance, Franz Ferdinand just came to mind. They were huge 2000s. Yeah. They had I believe they might have even been their debut album was the big one. Yeah. And then they had another one, a follow-up, which did not as well, but still really good. And then they kind of, you know, they still write music. They still perform to this day, but they're not as big as they were. And it's like, does that mean that they're not worth listening to anymore? Does that mean they're not as good? Well, again, it's up for debate, isn't it? Like, music is one of those things. It's, so as you say, like it's people will make of it what they'll make of it. But something in there that you said I found really interesting. Like, yeah, let's say that you play these huge places and now you're playing like little places. Like, does it really matter? Does it make you any less worth seeing, any less good? I would argue no, but I think that's more of a comment on society. Like, I think society needs to be a lot less judgmental. Like, because like I'm the same in the same boat as you. Like, all right, on the musical ladder, if you like, you guys are killing it. You're doing really well, and there's a clear projection as far as like where things are headed, right?
Yeah.
But as you mentioned earlier, that a lot of hard work and years have gone into that. So you're kind of benefiting from all the work you put in for the last sort of 8 years.
Well, they always said it takes 10 years to be an overnight success.
There we go. Yeah. I saw that quote recently too, and I was like, I think it's genius. It's when I look at where I'm at now with my stuff, I think the reason why maybe people like the music and are paying attention to the music is that I became a better songwriter. Yeah, I became a better songwriter because I had to live first. Yeah, do you know what I mean? And when I look at your music, like Velical was the first song I heard, and I was like, "This is fantastic. This is a really well written song," and it was very artistic.
Yes,
and I like the themes. I like the presentation. I just became a fan, and then I've been paying attention to all your music over the course of the last 3 years now, and I'd argue it's even better than before. I've not heard a bad song, and I can't often say that about art. There's only a few artists that I listen to ever where I could say they haven't written a bad song, and you are one of them. And I think a lot of that comes down to honing your skills as writers. You know, you kind of find something that works. You're not afraid to experiment as well. That's something I've seen in your sound a lot. There's a lot of different, like, I would struggle, just as I do with my own stuff, to give you like, oh, what is the Trusted? What kind of sound do they? Like, so because I'm always dropping your name in conversations, like, check out this band. I'm going to go see this band. Blah blah blah. Right? And someone asked me that, and I was like, indie pop rock. Oh, maybe, I don't know. There's a bit of everything.
Things. That whole universe.
There's a bit of everything in there. Yeah. I think a big reason why I like it and I fell in love with it is it reminded me of a lot of bands that I listened to when I was in the 2000s. And I said to a friend, I was like, if this were the 2000s, the Trusted would be the biggest band of all time. Right. But does that mean that you can't make it now? No. Because also you've got this unique sound that's different from
Yeah.
anything I've heard as well, which is you. And yeah, I mean, it's, like you said, it's all about.
You also remember with us, like the sort of landscape of doing things is changing so quickly, and I'd argue that every year the way things are done is changing even quicker. So within the time of us being a band, you can see like how things have changed, even the way people post on social media. Like when we started off, social media was very much like a very pristine. Everything had to be like pristine and aesthetically like perfect. It was all like really well shot photos. Whereas now we're kind of at a point where people just post like them in their dressing gown in the toilet singing. Like we've kind of like become more open, and I feel like with us, we started and we kind of started building stuff, and then we were hit with lockdown, and that kind of reset the band a little bit because suddenly we were starting to get some cool stuff traction, and then suddenly boom, lockdown happens, and then that really until 2022 that kind of lingered because it wasn't till 2022 really before things started to really open up again. So it was a good like 2.5, I'd argue maybe 3 years off like that sort of constraint from the pandemic, but also coming out of the pandemic, the industry it's changed again. The way gigs work, the way things work has changed. There's definitely a post and pre-lockdown difference, and so we had to relearn how to be a band again. So there's that as well that we have to kind of take into consideration as that big pandemic monster that kind of sits right in the middle there, like But I think like we're always learning new ways to kind of like engage people. Like we found for us, TikTok has been a really good tool.
Yeah.
Because it's such a wild west. You can kind of post anything, and you could things can get. You could have like no followers and post one thing and get like a quadrillion, bazillion, whatever. So, we've used that, and using TikTok lives has been really helpful. And we've kind of found in the last year, especially, it's been a real big progress. We took out, that song Self Destruct kind of took off on TikTok a little bit. That combined with like the live streaming, we built a Discord for our fan base.
Oh, right.
And kind of built a little sort of community of sort of fans. And I always think that when you're building a fan base, it's the hardest thing you can do in music, right? Is getting someone who's not a friend or a family member to like your music. That is one of the hardest things to do because you've got to get a stranger to come along and invest. And that's not just liking a song. So, they go, oh, that's a good song. You've got to get someone to come along, not just like the song, but invest in you as an artist, like invest in who you are emotionally. And that is really hard to do. So, what you need to do is almost like the hardest thing to do is take these people, get them, show them your music, and then keep them in your universe. So they stay there. And a lot of the time you find sometimes you might get like a viral video or a part of your song that goes quite well. Say you've got a bucket and new people will jump in. I love this song. I love this song. I love this song. But the bucket's got a hole in the bottom. So they just fall straight through. So you think, oh, great. Look, we've got this song has got like 1 billion listens on this video. Great. Let's go. And then you actually look into it and you go, we've actually gained maybe like no fans because we've not kept in the bucket.
Okay, first of all, amazing analogy. Brilliant. I know my listeners are going to be like, absolutely. Let's compare for a second. I came to see you in London.
Yeah.
In a very central location.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's going to be Ramo, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a busy room. But when I was looking around, I was like, okay, well, let's start with that. Because I know that you had an interesting ticketing thing where it was like, I remember when I bought the ticket, it said, oh, who are you here to see? And I was like, The Trusted.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool. So they're collecting numbers.
Uh-huh.
And, the musician in me from years of doing this, I knew it was like, oh, maybe there's that arrangement where it's like, oh, if you bring X amount of people, then you get a share of the sales, or it's just counting numbers, or whatever the arrangement is. But it's one of the toughest things about being in a band, being a musician, is if you're trying to get gigs, promoters, the first thing they will always say is, how many people can you bring?
Yeah.
Now, The Trusted is a band, as you say, that has millions of listens online. The resume speaks for itself. But getting people to come out and see you,
different story.
100% different.
But also you got to remember as well, if you took the map of the world, flat on that table, those streams would be spread out across that thing.
Absolutely.
Across that map. And for us, like, we've always struggled with London, I think, a little bit. I think I've always kind of viewed London as kind of like I love London, I love it. It's we don't, for us, it's pretty much like right next to us. It's like you can look out the window, you can kind of see it metaphorically. But it's a tough town. We've always found it quite tough. It feels quite what's a good word? It feels very like a traverse, like a town people traverse into. Like it's like a kind of like a moving town. And we always find London has always been hard for us to sell tickets in, whereas other places around the UK a lot easier. And when you look at a lot of our fans who are into our music, we always joke it's like anywhere but London. So we were talking to a promoter once. I think it was like last year, and it's about getting gigs. And they keep going, "What about London?" We're like, "Anywhere but London." Why London though? Anywhere but London. It's like, keep us out of London. Like, I love London, but I feel like we've always struggled with that. Maybe that's just an us thing. Maybe we just haven't engaged in the communities in London. Our music's not really hit those people emotionally or something. But for us, London has always been a tough one. And what's ironic about the whole thing is it's right there. It's the easiest place for us to play because it's right. We can, it's like basically our local city. But when you look at stuff, we have so many people want us to play Birmingham. We've got a lot of fans in Birmingham. We've got a lot of fans in Brighton. We've got a lot of fans in Scotland. And the big thing is about we want our plans to get up there. We've just signed with management.
Yes,
and our big conversation with them at the moment, we're in talks with some booking agents, and our big thing is to kind of do some gig swaps with some artists up north, and just get up there and support some. Obviously, we don't think we're big enough to like maybe sell out a gig in these places, but we could certainly pull people in. So,
well, this is how a lot of artists like grow as well, isn't it? Like the traditional ways, you get on the bill of bigger artists and you gain fans and attention from that bill. Like when I saw you guys playing and then I saw who was booked against you, I was like, well, whoever's booked this bill did a fantastic job, because
it was a great night.
All these bands sound similar.
Yes.
It works together. Like I found a band, I fell in love with A Romance. I was like, oh,
they're fantastic. Honestly, it was like, I love playing gigs with bands who are like top of their game. But what's really I find really interesting as well is they're always the nicest bands, or the nicest musicians, or the friendliest, nicest, coolest bands are the ones who are really good. So you play these gigs and they're like really lovely and really accommodating, and kind of like you feel like you're part of. You feel like you're one big band.
Yes.
But these bands are like amazing. They're incredible. They're like really talented. And it's like, well, it just shows these bands are so good. They don't need to, they've got nothing to prove because they're good. So they don't need to put a front on or be horrible because, they're good.
Well, I always think as well, like you're shooting yourself in the foot with that, because you might have attention, you might even be famous or whatever, but like, at the end of the day, when it comes to getting gigs, making it in the industry and stuff, it's the same in acting. It's the same in a lot of industries. You're going to get it based on the relationships and the connections you make.
Yes. Everything
I've ever achieved has been through making the connections with the right people, talking to people.
Yeah.
And just being like, what about this? What about this? Da, 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 I know that with this podcast, for example, people have said, how did you get this person? And I was like, I spoke to them. I talked to them. I asked. Do you know what I mean? Like you make a good connection. I think it helps that I've had stuff in common with people on the show before. I think that helps. But at the end of the day, it's about having the right attitude, and like I've experienced the same as you. I've had people be, like what's the word? No, I can't think of the word, but like when they're kind of like they think they're better than you,
Yeah.
and it's like, all right, cool, whatever.
Which is I think I think one of my I love music and I love making music and but obviously like any sort of world there's downsides to it and one of my there's a few things I hate with music and one of the things I hate is the snobbery that comes from certain people, not just bands, but sometimes it can come from listeners and whoever. But I think there's definitely a snobbery there because it's such a it's such a lucrative world to be part of. Not I'm not talking money wise, but in terms of like everyone wants being a musician or making music is such like a it can be such like a empowering thing and it's a very like egocentric kind of universe and I think it leads to a lot of snobbery and a lot of like as you say people sticking their nose up and looking down on people and again it's not just bands but you see it's like when people go I listen to this someone looks at you like that's terrible how dare you listen to that like that's not real music or you say I listen to so and so and they go well name 5 songs like all that sort of stuff I find that quite difficult because it kind of or who's been to the most obscure gig or who's this so it's that side of it I don't like and it's quite and it's kind of a big part of music.
I just think it's dumb as fuck. Like
Yeah.
if someone speaks to me and they say something like that, I tune out. I'm like,
Yeah.
like what?
Yeah, it's just
Music's there to be listened to. Like, who cares how many songs you know? Even if you know like one song, like who gives a shit? Like
yeah,
really, like what does that? I remember when I was a kid and like someone pulled me up in a Led Zeppelin shirt and they did that. And at the time, I was listening to the Three album quite religiously,
yeah,
and I just named every song off the Three album. And then he was just like, and it's like
yeah. But even if you couldn't, it shouldn't matter.
no,
Like, or also, why can't you could just wear a t-shirt because it's a cool t-shirt. Like, you don't even listen. I haven't got a problem when people wear. If someone wears a t-shirt and they don't listen to the artist, that's like it's just a cool t-shirt. Like,
yeah.
you could like wear a really cool, I don't know, Talking Heads t-shirt. Not listen to any Talking Heads, but the t-shirt's cool, so I'll wear the t-shirt.
Yeah.
That's fun. Like, that's not a problem. But I think people have a problem where it's like people like to take ownership of things. They're like, well, I'm really into this thing. It's mine.
Yeah, but it's not ever going to stop being yours. Like,
Yeah,
like the
exactly.
whole argument of
that's the point. Yeah,
it's like, oh, I listened to this band before they were famous. Like, okay,
yeah.
cool. So
It doesn't
it
matter.
doesn't
Like,
it
yeah,
doesn't make me any less of a fan. Like, it's
exactly. And that's the thing. People like to like that. Like, but it's no one's fault. It's just kind of baked into the kind of fabric of how music is kind of consumed and spoken about. Because it's been around for so long.
yeah. I mean, it is what it is. To be honest, I think, like you
Yeah,
say, there's a lot of things you just have to accept. Like, I've been criticized for my songs being like really basic, and I'm like, well, I don't know. I always just kind of felt like what works for the song works for the song, and I've always tended to focus more on my lyrics and my singing rather than
yeah,
the guitar work. Sometimes they will be more complex, but some of it is down to like playing as well. Like sometimes it's easier to have a more basic song that you
yeah.
can focus your attention elsewhere, so that it's more like it just works for the live situation. Um, because like I feel like the more layers you add, the more difficult it's going to be to sort of
Mm-hmm.
make it happen on the stage, kind of thing.
100%. Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, let's move on. I did want to ask you real quick about TikTok.
Yeah. Sure.
So there's something interesting that you do that I don't see a lot of artists do. You sort of do like a live performance style stream. Now, a lot of artists perform on stream, but
Yeah.
like you actually you'll do backing track stuff and you'll perform, right? And you'll
Yeah.
show people like, well, this is this song, like, and
Yeah.
people get to request what they want, and it works well. Let's just speak to those efforts for a second. What would you say that's translated into? And because I think like the way that you approach TikTok has changed a lot over the years, and
Mm-hmm.
I would argue because of things like I'm drawing a blank. Self-destruct,
Yeah.
getting the streams that it has. Clearly, you've changed tack. So let's just talk about like your strategy on TikTok and how it's working out.
Yeah. So TikTok's an interesting one because what it wants out of you changes a lot, and how people. And it's not just what it wants, but what people want changes a lot. And it's very saturated now. There's a lot on there. It's kind of people kind of cotton onto it. I think like in 2020 and 2021, it was very popular, but the algorithm felt very Wild West like. And I think a lot of bands were kind of, including us at the begin with, but like, I don't go on that. It's a dance. What's that all about? It's a dance app. And then they sort of start seeing the power of it when they start seeing the very smart bands who kind of got on early and got a lot out of it. And they're like, oh shit, I'm missing the trick here. And now every single person, their brother and sister and mother and father is on there.
Yeah.
So for us, it's for us, the strategy for TikTok now is when we find people who are really into it, and there are people who are really into the Trusted, who really, really like get it and love it and every day show up every day, where it's commenting or whatever. It's honing in on those people. So for us, what's really important is comments. I don't really care about the views too much. I think for us, it's getting comments. When we see, when we keep seeing the same people showing up in the comments over and over and over again, we know we've got them. We know like, okay, these people believe in the music. They like what we're doing, and they are in the Trusted bubble.
Yep.
And for us, it's to keep giving them stuff, keep giving to them, give them something, keep showing up for them, and it's about keep posting content, because if we just get if we post a video and it gets like, I don't know, like 200 views, right? If we get one new person in, then that's a win. Like one person who likes the music, and that's a win. And then what's a slam dunk is if that person then keeps showing up and showing up and showing up. Then they join Discord, then they buy a t-shirt, then they come to, and then the end of the trail is you go to a gig and they're there. That is the end of the line. So it's like a line of like, they like a song, they keep showing up, they start engaging on other platforms, Instagram, Discord, YouTube, whatever. Then they start being more intense in comments and being more interested. Then they show up. And I think when they show up, that is the ultimate. There's two things I think are the ultimate compliments. One is them showing up to a gig, which I don't care. If we play to an empty room and one person turns up, they're wearing a Trust t-shirt, or they've come a long way like yourself, or that is a win. We've done the impossible. We've taken a complete stranger, someone who's not related, not a friend, not some neighbor, but someone who's got no connection to us. Their entry point wasn't a joke I told at a pub, or they're related to me. The entry point is a song. A song got them involved. The song music came first, we come second. And then they've turned up to a show and they're there, and that is the win. We've done the thing that every artist in the entire universe wants to do. Obviously, the second thing is someone who's got musical talent, or even not, it covers your song. Those two things, covering the music, like take it, or artwork. So I guess it's like turn up to a show or repurposing your art into like a cover or like fan art. Those two things are like the golden. Whenever those happen, even if it's who it is, it like makes your day. It's like, oh my God, you feel like a real boy.
There's a few things that happened to me, Reeve. I want to talk about my fanship of you in a sec, but it just brought up my experience. People saying that certain songs on my album are their favorite. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Or they know the lyrics. I'm like, what? I did a gig and people were singing along, like people I know. They're people I know, but still, I was like, what?
It's great. It's the best.
Yeah.
It's the best.
They started chanting my name at one point, and I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, is this a good time to tell you I've got anxiety? Like, what?
Yeah.
But the thing that blew me away recently was like yourself, I know a lot of musicians, and we all play together and stuff, and we love each other's music and whatnot. Like genuine, like as fans, like
Yeah.
we were at the pub the other day. It was after this open mic that we do, that I do every
Hmm.
Wednesday, and I was saying like, oh, I love this song that you wrote. Like, oh, show me the chords, show me the lyrics, and we were like singing
Yeah.
along, singing other people that weren't their songs, and then two of my friends started playing my song on guitar, and I was just like, I was stunned. I didn't know what to say. I was like, this is surreal. Um, and what you were saying there, like, oh, if we talk the online stuff, like anytime, like I threw away that whole streams and this, like, I'm grateful for it and I've
Yeah.
celebrated it. I got over 2K recently. I was like, oh, thank you. But I'm like you. I'm like any comment, any person
Yeah.
showing attention for more than like a week, celebrate that. Like artists, if you're listening, celebrate the people that show up each and every week. Don't pay attention to the numbers. Like keep it in mind, but pay attention to the people that love.
Well, numbers you can fake to a point. Like if you numbers are your favorite thing in the world, you can fake those. It's not hard.
Sure.
But it's about what do those numbers actually mean? The question you've got to ask someone is: would you rather have 20 listeners, but those 20 people will turn up to every single one of your gigs, buy all your
Yes.
merch, be there, tell their friends, be a proper fan, or would you rather have a million just people who just like listen to it once? Yeah, it's a good song, and don't whatever. Like you've
The
got to
core
like
people.
think logically.
But
What is it you really want?
for me, the goal is to have a fan show up to a gig of mine, as you say, someone that
Yeah.
is not a friend of mine, does not know me, just showed up because they saw that I'm playing. Like
Yeah,
that's the next
that is
goal.
the ultimate win.
Yep.
That is when you know you've done something because that's when it goes past it just being suddenly your music becomes someone else's music, and it's not it translates into the real. They have to make a real world decision. They've had to spend their own money, use their own time, and probably like cause some kind of disruption in their own life. They've got to like take an evening out. They might have to travel. They might have to they might have to make a difficult decision to get to that gig, but they've decided to make that sacrifice to come and watch you. That's when you know your music's had an effect. And I always say, like, I think if you're an artist and you sell out, say you sell out like a local show and you sell out a London show, everyone in the industry will take notice of you straight away. They'll be like, because that's what they care about. They care about butts on seats.
Yeah.
So that that they know how hard that is. It's like that is the hardest thing to do in music. That is if you boiled it down to a simple, very simple thing, it's bringing someone along in real life to a show who doesn't know you. That is really hard. And so any artist who does that is, they've got. I don't care if you like the music or not. They can do that. They're obviously good at what they do because there's lots of bands you might go, I don't like their music or whatever, but if they're bringing loads of people to their gigs who don't just who are not friends or family or just like fans of their music, they are doing something special, and that is the goal that everyone is trying to do. That's what the online is. All of that is just trying to get to that point. People want viral moments or whatever because they want that moment of they can do a gig and these people will turn up. That's what they want really. That translates to that. It's the physical world that matters. Like people use the online world to make the physical world real, and that is it. That's what it boils down to. And whenever we get that, and we get a lot more recently, which has been great, especially in the last for us the last 12, 13 months has been the tectonic plates have kind of shifted a little bit, and we've noticed that the wind has kind of gone from east to west, and we're like, oh, something's happened here. We've gone from a real low point at the start of last year where things were starting to be like, and you're struggling with it, and then all of a sudden, it really self-destruct, and there's like a little light switch went ding, just a tiny one, just a little crack in the wall, and it was like, okay, and that has kind of we've noticed the trajectory of the Trusted kind of change in the last very very slight, but we kind of feel it, and all four of us are like, okay, all right.
So I'm going to talk about me becoming a fan because it connects with everything that you've said,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I completely agree with everything you
Yeah.
just said. By the way, I think that it speaks to that progression thing that you were talking about, and also
Yeah.
presentation, I think, to a certain extent. Um, like I said earlier, I came across you in like late 2021, early 2022.
Yeah.
Um, thought Velical was a cool song. I think I might have messaged you, and you were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, nice one," and I was like, "Oh, cool, these guys are nice." Reach out to you about, "Hey, do you guys want to be on the show?" You said
Yeah.
yes. You come on my show.
Yeah.
We have a great show. I'm like,
Yeah.
awesome. So now I'm like keeping tabs on you, as I do
Yeah.
with most of the artists that
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
have been on my show over the years. I'm like, oh, cool. And then you keep releasing stuff, and I'm like, oh, cool, 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 cool. And then yeah, I think it's self-destructive. I'm like, oh, mad. And then I just start going like and delving into all the back catalogue, and I'm just sort of just falling in love with the songwriting and going like, these are really fucking good songs. Like these are just good songs to listen to. It's very. I think anytime you listen to an album and it's easy to kind of go from A to B, it's like, okay, cool. This, because that's kind of a lost art form. I think EPs
Yeah.
and albums. I like that you guys are still doing that. I stick
Yeah.
by it as well. I think it's good to tell a story with it, to pinpoint a certain
Yeah.
time, because your sound is different over the years. It's not like changed so much that you're not the same band anymore, but it's just,
Yeah.
I think you've kind of stepped into the pop realm a little bit more, and you're not afraid to, and it's blended well into the sound, and
Yeah.
maybe that's what people are connecting with. Because and the presentation factor, when you see guys on stage, it's a confident band. It's a band that knows what they're doing, and that's exciting to see. So that's how I kind of became a fan, and then I was just kind of going like, well, I want to see them, but when, how? And as you know, like it was like, oh, I hope they come to Manchester, because I'll
Which
be
we
the
will.
first.
And we might mention this year. I think like hopefully that we want to reach all these people who've been all over the place who can't come to London or come down here. So I've got from what who've been talking to and what's been going on, I've got confidence that we'll be in Manchester very, very, very soon.
You'll be very well received there, and like I won't shut up about it, so I'll be able to bring some people, I reckon. But I think that the maybe the biggest thing, and maybe to anyone who's thinking about seeing the Trusted, I'll say this: the way that you guys come across, very open, very humble.
Yeah.
Same in real life. I was, because it's a weird position for me to be in, because to an extent, I feel like I know you guys. I'm still a stranger, but I know you maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But I came there just as a fan. Like, I didn't expect anything. I just thought it'd be like a hi, and then that'd be it. But then you guys made an effort to come talk to me. I was like, and one of the things Finn said, which I thought was interesting, was, oh, he's like, this is surreal, and I was like, yeah, it is. It's a bit weird, but like in a good way.
Yeah.
And that meant a lot to me, by the way. So thank you to all of you for making me feel so welcome. And yeah, and like we were saying before, no attitudes, no, oh, I'm an artist, just come approach me, talk, buy a t-shirt, great. And I did. I got one. I was going to wear it today, but it's in the wash.
That's all right.
Um,
I mean, it all ties in. I think I think when someone asks about our music, Trusted, what is the Trusted? I'm like, well, I want it to be like this. All our songs are quite, whether it's a good thing or not, is all very like heart on the sleeve kind of stuff. It's very like emotionally open and very all out there on the line. It's not it's not very reserved, and that when you look at bands like big bands like REM or U2, their music is very out there, and people either love that or don't like it. It's definitely a thing. People like the kind of cool kind of hide behind the shield kind of thing, but we're very open, and I want it to translate not just into the music, but I think as people we're kind of like that anyway, so it kind of feeds into the music, and obviously we're called The Trusted. It all kind of like links. That's kind of like where we're coming from. It's that kind of like very when we play live, it's like open heart surgery. It's kind of
Yeah, there was a comment recently. Someone commented on one of your videos and they said, "Oh, you're like my emotional support band," and you
Yeah,
shared it on the story, and I was like, "Yeah, no, I know what you mean. That it's a comforting band. It's a
we're a therapy band. And someone else said that as well. I'm like, yeah, that's who we are.
yeah, like dude, someone commented on. I was so thrown by this, but someone commented on one of my videos, one of my songs on YouTube, and they
Yeah.
said like just something about like the lyrics, like it meant a lot to them, and I was just like blown away by that, and I was like, because it's part of you, you put it out there because you love it, it's music, it's what we do, and then someone connects with it, and it's like it could not
Yeah,
be more
that's
of a
the win.
compliment.
That's the
Yeah.
moment. That's the thing. That's the golden goose right there.
Right, let's move it on. Many questions.
Yes.
I want to talk about the management for a second. Obviously,
Yeah.
I know from a legal standpoint, there won't be a lot that you can say. So let's just kind of look at how that came to be and what it might mean for you.
So one thing about music which is interesting is a lot of times things come at the end of like a line of things. So kind of spiraling off that a little bit. Obviously, recently we got picked by BBC Intuition to play Latitude,
Yes.
right? And that on if you didn't know who we are, you just see, band plays Latitude, right? A to B. But actually, it's like a long line of things. It's us like having music played on BBC Introducing, to having a relationship with the host, playing their gigs for them, like some gigs for them, like do BBC Introducing gigs, and just like being consistent with our music, uploading all the time. It's taken a long time to get to that point. And the management, for example, like it's like a relationship. When you're looking, if you like, I'm looking for a girlfriend or a boyfriend, it's like you're kind of like you. You tend to find most relationships kind of come from they just kind of happen. And and I think the management's the same thing. You can't just go, I want a manager, and go manager shopping and just go, I'll have you. They kind of come from it's like a natural progression to that point. So with the managers, we have also it all begins with there's a music blog called Phantom Power Music. Phantom Power Music. They're a really great music blog based in Nashville.
Wow.
Who like love our music, and they got involved in this. There's this whole sort of new industry forming in some kind of very, 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 very deep corners of the music world, where people were playing around with like sort of kind of Bitcoin and
Interesting.
kind of like using platforms where you have radio stations where use Bitcoin radio stations where they play new music and people can donate sats,
Satoshis. Yeah.
the music they like. And there's a whole like industry. It's very, very fresh, very, very new, and it's still very, very in its infancy. But that's kind of going on, and we kind of like upload some of our songs to that and whatever. And the people who run Phantom Power, they were I'm not 100% sure on the story, but they kind of met our managers who were at somewhere. They met them, and they were like, "Oh, this is band," and they asked the band recommendations. They sent us to them, and they got in contact with us. And we just started chatting, and we kind of got to a place where like, yeah, I think we could work together. And then and that was it. And we kind of signed the stuff in April, and we've just started, getting things together. But it was kind of like a journey from this blog to this to that to that to that, and then here we are here.
So I was chatting to Finn about this. This
Yeah,
is like unbelievable news. Like I knew that you had management. I didn't know they were from America. I was like, holy shit.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I just said to him point blank, I was like, America tour? And it's like, maybe. Yeah, and look, America would fucking love you.
Well, when you look at
Um,
our stuff, you can see we've got a lot of listeners in the States, and
this is
obviously we
something I
got
wanted to ask you. Yeah,
yeah.
what's the demographics for the Trusted?
It's kind of all over the place, really. As I say, anywhere but London.
Nah, come on,
Uh,
I must have fans in
we
London.
do, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, like, yeah, it's kind of play all over the place. It's quite fascinating, really. Like, we've got some great fans in South America. We've got some great fans in the States. We've got loads of great fans across the UK.
What about Europe?
Yep, Europe. We've got some great fans in Germany, Amsterdam, from the city of Amsterdam. We've got some people from Netherlands. Fans from Berlin, fans from Italy, got a lot of fans in Italy.
Interesting.
Yeah, all over the place. And that's what's so great about the internet is you can kind of, you can kind of reach these people very quickly.
I do think your
Yeah,
sound is one of those that would work in a lot of different countries. Like, because obviously Europe is big for rock and indie and stuff, so that's kind of easy. But then the more popular side of things, I think, appeals more to the America. Not to say rock doesn't
yeah,
either, but it's quite a versatile
yeah.
sound.
I think like again, I think like I like to look at people as kind of like a universal thing. Like people, wherever you're from, you kind of like what you like. Everyone's kind of their own individual
Hmm.
kind of sort of curator of art. Everyone's got their own taste of what they like, what they don't like, food, music, film, whatever. And so I feel like across the globe, you're going to have all these people who, where they're from, they've obviously get the thing that we're trying to do, and I think it's like it's a nice little like trusted family that's kind of spread across. But that's the thing. I think like go back to the very first point. This entire chat, we're talking about this idea of making it and how long we've been playing together for and stuff. One of the main reasons why the four of us haven't stopped doing it, why it's the same four guys, why blah 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 blah, is because we know there's something there. Like there's
Yes,
something there, and we've seen it obviously in the real world. We can see it resonating with people, and there's we know we believe in the noise we make, and part of us is like, well, we believe in it, and we, that is like three-quarters of the battle. We believe in what we do. We believe in the music we make. We haven't left it because we like all like feel something there. So and then we see it connecting across people from all over the place, and I think that's what keeps us going, and I think that's what will keep us going, and that's what has kind of been like one of the big fires. That and our relationship with each other, but that is a big part of it.
I've been a musician since I was 11 years old. I'm now
Yeah,
32. I've been in bands. Obviously, I do solo stuff now, and I've released music. I have an album out
yeah,
now. I'm doing my own thing. I do. I've been re-pursuing music for the last, let's say, for 2 or 3 years.
yeah,
And at the beginning of this year, I started doing like sound engineering stuff. So every
yeah,
Wednesday, in addition to me playing, I also do sound for other bands, artists, etc. I go to gigs again. And I'm a big music fan still. I think
yeah,
any musician that really is into their craft is also a huge music fan.
yeah,
I said to a friend the other day, and maybe I'm crazy for even saying this, but I feel like I know when a band has it, when an artist has it, I can
right,
see it.
yeah,
But I couldn't tell you what it is.
yeah,
I just know it when I
yeah.
see it.
It's
And
forces beyond our control.
when I look at you guys, I'm like, this band has it.
Yeah,
They just have it. That whatever it is, you have it. And I completely agree. You have to just keep going.
it is. That is it. Because I think like so many artists, it's not no fault of their own. Because obviously, like it is. It's hard out there, and you can you get it, but it's like I think the secret sauce is keep going and consistency, and you've just got to keep pushing, and that's what will carry you. It's showing up, making music and doing stuff is the easy part of it. The hard part is to keep doing it.
Absolutely.
And I feel like people, I'm very proud of the fact that the four of us are still here. The fact that the four of us, four people, have kept together for so long. Like I said, longer than some marriages, and some, you know, for us, like so we've been married for 8 years. Like it takes a lot of willpower to keep the same four people, who are four very different people. Like we're very different people, but keep us all in the same marriage. We're all married to each other.
Well, look,
That's
let me ask you this. I mean,
hard.
you clearly believe in this band. Would you say every member of the band is like yeah, we've got it.
Yes, yeah, I think yeah we do. We also all
Yeah.
have our moments, and like it's just natural, and I think that wouldn't change even if we were. Because because the thing is, even the biggest bands in the world break up or lose members or whatever.
Yep.
It never changes. But they lose. You can lose faith in something even if it's successful, as people have done. That's it's just about you've got. It doesn't matter about the outside world whether you're playing Wembley Stadium or Wembley Tesco's. It doesn't matter because if you love it, that's what matters. You could be playing Wembley Tesco's and a Tesco, like a corner of Tesco in Wembley, and be in love with it and all get on and love it. You could be playing Wembley Stadium and we'll argue behind the scenes and hate it and then leave the band the next day. Look, you see a lot of happens to a lot of bands, but you've got to like love it and believe in it, and that's nothing to do with success. That's just about the belief in it, the sound, the music. And yeah, the four of us. And I think the thing is, when we've had really tough times, we've had rejections here and there, we've had rough moments, we've had all the classic things that come with any sort of pursuit of anything. And we've weathered arguments, big disputes where you think is this it, whatever, but we weather the storm. And I think that comes from a place of everyone's like, I get this, I get it. The four of us, we get it. We get it. It's our thing. Trusted is very much us four. It's always been us four. It's our thing. We're very much a band. I always say since the start, we're a band. We are a band. Like it's very, dependent on the four legs of the table. These specific people in these specific roles doing these specific things, what makes it work. And so, yeah, definitely. 100% agree, and because I don't always know what they're thinking, because I'm not inside their heads, and sometimes I'm like, am I the new one here? But here we are, like we're still here, and we're also doing it. There's plenty of opportunities where anyone could have gone, see you later, and yet we're all still married, so
You get yeah, and that comes across as well, like having met you guys, seeing you on stage, seeing what you do online, everything. Like you're doing the right thing, man.
It helps the performance as well. Like when you have a good relationship, it kind of makes performing on stage better.
It just looks like you're having fun. There's no seriousness. Like it's okay. Like I got a video of Finn like sort of bopping to the bass. I didn't post it in the end because I was looking for stuff I could put on one of my Instagrams that's kind of like a semi-professional videography thing, and I was looking at it and I was like, this is just fun. Like he just likes the music.
I think like when we're up there, we're kind of like half of that was not being self-conscious, because I think when you're on stage, if you're self-conscious, you'll look more embarrassing. You've got to kind of just like look like everything you do, whether it looks completely ridiculous. Like if I want to wear a rubber duck on my head, but if I believe if I have a rubber duck like inflatable on my head while I'm performing, it might look completely ridiculous, but if I believe in that and I go, this is it, this is the important part of this thing, then people will go along with it. But if I go on going, I don't feel comfortable wearing this, people will like feel embarrassed that they can tell you're embarrassed.
I think as well, like being that you're the front man, you kind of got to lead a lot. And I've been a front man before. It's hard. You got to kind of exude this confidence, not just for you, but so that the rest of the band can like stretch its legs a bit. Because if you're not confident, everyone else is like, and I see that with you on stage, and it's good to see. It's like, he's filling this role well, and the rest of the band can do their thing because of it.
I mean, in real life, I'm painfully shy.
Yeah, I noticed.
I'm very, very shy. I've always been, ever since I was a little kid, I'm very, very shy. I really struggle talking to people. I always have done. I'm really being a very shy person.
So you're fucking smashing it today and like last time.
Yeah, but then I think
I get it.
I always think the reason why is when you're on stage, there's an element of a scripted nature to it. Like when I'm in real life, the conversation we're having right now, you could say anything. You could say whatever you want. I can say whatever I want. It's limitless in what we could talk about.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're on stage, the songs are the script. They are your boss. They are telling you what to do. So I'm kind of being, the songs are kind of controlling what you do. Whereas in real life, you're kind of like on your own. Like, buying something from a shop or calling the doctors is like the most scariest thing in the world. But playing for a room full of strangers and making yourself like an idiot and jumping around like a complete idiot is easy because I'm like, well, the songs are telling me to do that, so great. So, but yeah, but the four of us, we're quite shy. We're painfully shy. One of the reasons we get on with each other so much, we are very, very shy, very introverted, and we all kind of like, we're very, we're like, we're not extrovert at all. Yeah, my girlfriend she's very confident, very extroverted. So it's like you kind of, and then obviously I'm in a band, which is a very extroverted activity where you're online putting yourself out there. So I think like introverts are attracted to extrovert, like things that kind of exude extrovert energy.
It's true, man.
Yeah.
Like I've always said, believe it or not, I'm ambivert. So I taught myself to be an extrovert, and I can do it confidently, and I've pushed past the point of doubt anymore. But that was a journey to get there.
Yeah.
And I, like yourself, I'm first thing I'm gonna do when I get off stage is you get a drink, relax, not talk to anyone.
Yeah.
And you'll notice when you guys came off stage, I gave you a wide berth before I said anything, because like that's the last thing you want. Just finished. I don't want to talk to anyone. I want to just decompress, relax, get my shit off the stage. That's
and like cool down. It was very hot there.
Yeah, and oh my god, they were pumping so much smoke. I was like, how's he gonna breathe?
It's all right.
He can sing.
I'm immune to on stage smoke. That's like my superpower.
I could barely see you at one point. I was like, this is crazy, man.
Like, I can hide. I can hide away. So if it goes wrong, I can blame someone else and go. It was not me. It was the other band.
The smoke. Yeah.
The other band were playing. I was off by that point. Yeah, it was the smoke. The smoke took me over. Yeah, no, I think like you said, like it's kind of. I think as well, like when you're in music, most people, when you're out, they say nice things. And I think it's hard when people compliment you, because it's always hard to know how to react, because you want to like show you appreciate it, but it's hard to know. In lots of ways, I actually find it's easy to respond to negative because it's much more easy. And obviously, when you're an artist, it's like a seesaw. You kind of it balances itself out. If you're going to get loads of praise, you're going to get a lot of like negative. Some maybe positive, negative, like maybe it's stuff that they like you, they've got positive criticism, and some of it is just pure, just nihilistic, awful shit. But it balances itself out, and I think that's kind of part of the job.
Dude, I'm the same as you. I get so shy when someone's really complimented. I'm like,
it's hard.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's
hard. It's like, and it's really hard when someone, especially when you get some people who say some very quite intense things, about how the music's made them feel, or there's clearly like an effect, and they're a little bit like, I don't know. Sometimes you get people who are a bit like
starstruck.
Not starstruck. I hate that word, starstruck. But you know what I mean, like that kind of like.
I think to an extent you got to accept it though. Like I'm the same as you. I'm just a guy making music. That's all I'll ever be. But because you're putting it out there and you are a public person.
Yeah,
that's what's going to happen. And it's part of it, and it's. I guess you just have to kind of find your way of dealing with that.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, I think I love it. I think it's great. But you just want to show these people that that you do you are. But I'm thankful for it. And, I don't want people to ever like not. It's great. I love it. I love the fact that people like it. Same way I like the fact that like you get a lot of stick as well, because that's part of it as well. It's how you deal with that. And some people take it. I think that's a big part. I always joke the band, like when you start a band, it's like an Indeed.com, like thing of CVs. Like when you do this here, the pros and the cons of being a band or being a musician. And like you put your head above the parapet, you're gonna get some hate and some.
I think the worst thing you can ever have as an artist is apathy.
Yeah, or nothing. Really,
that's what I mean. Nothing at all.
Just apathy, just pure nothing, just pure oblivion, complete, just darkness, like just nothing. And I think some people struggle with hate comments, but for us, we've like kind of found a way around it where we kind of use
I do that too. Yeah.
hate comments and make it into a thing. And that's the best way you can do it. Because when people leave a hate comment, they want you to like react, like get angry back or get upset. When you play into it, it's like running into the knife. They're like, "Whoa, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
The best one I ever had was once someone when your song is like shit, or I can't remember what it was something like that. So I used it as like the comment in the corner of the video and in the video about it. And he commented back when, "Please don't use my comment in the video. My mental health's not great at the moment. Can you please take this down?" I'm like, you're telling me my song's shit and whatever, and that we're awful, whatever, and then you're upset when we use your comment in the like, try and make, like, don't say, like, they get funny when you like use their, and I like someone's leaning into it, like people will say you're this or whatever, and then you'll like go, yeah, we're like, you kind of go really into that sort of, you start playing
Sarcastic.
irony
Yeah.
and the sarcasm of it, which kind of plays into the whole, the way I like using social media as a tool, like playing to the whole like sarcasm of it, the sort of non-serious side of being in a band. All this stuff all ties into like the bigger picture of like presenting yourself. You can use all this stuff to kind of, I love like bands like the 1975 do it a lot, and U2 did it a lot in the 90s, and a lot of bands do it where they kind of like, they play like the sort of like the absurdity of it. And I love that stuff, that sort of ironic kind of sort of postmodern kind of like almost like slightly Spinal Tappy kind of side to it. And I love it. I love it. It's just because everyone, we're all aware of all the tropes. Like I always argue that if pop music started with Elvis Presley, we've now had like, you know, nearly about 70 plus years, let's say 70 years of like modern day pop culture. We all know all the tropes. We all know all the things. Nothing's, you know, nothing's kind of surprising anymore when it comes to like how music presents itself. So I think the best thing to do now is kind of play with the form, play with it, like make fun of it, like the absurdity of it, like I love all that stuff, and you can kind of use hate comments and you can kind of use that as part of that whole facade. It's just great. I love it.
And the reality is, your
So fun.
haters are like some of your biggest fans.
Oh,
'Cause
it's so
they're
fun.
so obsessed.
It's so fun. I love it. I love when someone leaves a comment you can use in something. It's just great. It's the best.
Right, moving it forward. For the first time ever, I am announcing this segment. Welcome to Vilma's Questions.
Ooh.
So, Vilma's a good friend of mine. She's been following my stuff for years, and she always comes up with fantastic questions. Sometimes she saved the show in many cases. And yeah, I was looking through some of these questions. So thank you to Vilma. First ever time I'm announcing it as official Vilma's segment, Vilma's Questions. There were some questions that got me thinking here. So let's dive into some of them. Would you say The Trusted has a distinctly British sound? And if so, how do you think that influences how international audiences connect with your music?
That's a great question. I love good questions because, you know, a lot of people ask the same questions, and this is great. I think, yes, I think, because obviously I think geography plays a big part in music, and especially where we are, Southend by the sea, and the music scene down here is very healthy, and sort of the architecture and kind of the vibe, that all plays a big part in how we create music. And I definitely feel like a lot of our biggest influences obviously come from, you know, there's a lot of British bands, British artists, kind of like, yeah. And I think how that translates to international audiences is a great question. I think the way to look at it is, I think music, it can be influenced by a country or a place, but I still think into the way it still translates universally. So it might sound like something, but when you look at like some of the biggest artists in the world, like the Rolling Stones, Beatles, very British in their, you know, sound. But people like that. It kind of, because underneath all of that, the messaging is universal. You look at songs like All You Need Is Love, very, I say quintessential British folk song, modern day British folk song. in the way it's very, you know, All You Need Is Love by the Beatles was the very first song broadcast on international when TV became global, and they did, you know, it's one of the first songs that was kind of broadcast. And the reason, and but the mess, even though it sounds very British, wherever that means, underneath it, the messaging is so universal, and that's what translates out. And I feel like the Trusted, the messaging in that song is all about the human experience, and I feel like that's what people connect with.
Yeah, you know, like I was thinking this the other day when I was listening to Self Destruct. Like I was just sort of pondering on the lyrics, and I was like,
Yeah.
because the vibe I get from it is, yeah, I want to self destruct. I know I like it. It's like the kind of, it would be good for a minute to just kind of allow that to happen, so I can kind of piece back things afterwards. It's that frustration of being in that and just feeling like you will just explode, kind of
Well,
thing.
it's interesting because that question, the British influence for me, what really inspired the lyrics for that was, I think in Great Britain, people when they go on nights out, for example, there's an element of like people, but you see it a lot. People push themselves physically and
Mm.
mentally to self destruction, whether it's, you know, drugs, alcohol, especially in UK culture. It's very like people push the limits of what their body, you know, can do, and that sort of like, you know, self destruct to me is like a sort of odyssey to that kind of like 3 a.m. people push themselves to the limit of like, you know, that point of like no return. And so there's the British influence. That's why I see. But I think you kind of see that all over. But then you kind of learn that it's quite common all over the place. Like people when they're having a tough time or they want to go out and forget themselves, they will get plastered. They'll get drunk. They will get off their heads and go and just completely lose it. And they kind of lose that sort of like that sense of like, you know, that survival instinct goes out the window. And it's like, I don't care if I die, but I just want to have fun. And that's kind of where self-destruct kind of came from. Like, it's that idea of like, I might die, but I'm going to have fun and push myself to the limit because I'm potentially having a tough time. And all that matters right now is me just having fun, forgetting about everything.
Is there any particular places that you draw inspiration from, like lyrically? Or is it just kind of like whatever comes to mind? Like what?
I like to write. I mean, I'm inspired. There's a lot of lyricists out there. I've always, when I first started, the first time I was in the band, I was about 11. The first band I formed, I was about 11 at school. And obviously, I couldn't play anything at that point. I was just a singer. So I began when we started writing songs, you know, when I was like 12, 13, you know, I was a lyric writer. I wrote lyrics. So lyrics has always been my first place when it comes to music. That's where I started when it came to creating music. And there's a lot of great lyric writers out there. I'm inspired by all the, you know, the greats. But in terms of actually writing lyrics, where the inspiration comes from, it tends to come from a human experience. A lot of our songs are about how we as people respond to things. I like to write from the inside out rather than the outside in. So it's about how things in the world affect me rather than what's happening in the world. So it all comes from a very like, you know, our first ever single, Turbulence, is about paranoia and about, you know, basically a panic attack. And once we wrote that song, The Trusted formed, Brexit happened, The Trusted formed, then Donald Trump was voted in. So it was a very much like that
Turbulent
year,
time. Yeah.
2016 was, you know, and also Prince died, David Bowie died. 2016 was a very politically and sort of creatively a very, you know, very roller coaster of a year of things going on. And obviously like lots of different, very culturally significant things happened. And so we all felt very tense. So the first thing we released and write is a song about feeling like, oh my God, I'm panicking. I can't, all this stuff's going on. I can't take it. It's a lot of information. And that's kind of where a lot of our songs come from, is that idea of like, that's a good blueprint. Turbulence is a good blueprint for the rest of our music. So all our songs from then onwards are like your response to outside stimuli.
When you listen back to your older tracks, is there one or a series of hits that hit differently now compared with when you first wrote them?
Yeah, I think like when you listen to, it's always changing. But what I like is obviously there's a lot of songs that we still play that obviously, I wrote lyrics when I was 18, 19 that I still feel very close to, relevant to. That I still feel very relevant. I feel still very close to. But yeah, like I think like sometimes you write things and years later you go, oh, actually this is more, I hate this word, more profound than I thought it was in terms of my own experience. So like Turbulence, probably didn't realize at the time lyrically actually how important that song was to me. Now looking back at it, we still play that song a lot. It's Turbulence as a song, it still feels very, even more now, it feels very relevant. Definitely, yeah. And I feel like, the songs, the lyrics kind of like, you kind of write the lyrics and they go out into the world and they kind of like slowly evolve over time, and they kind of, the meaning of the songs kind of become more and more prevalent as you let them breathe. So yeah, definitely.
Is there any of your songs that you dislike? Or like you just don't enjoy playing or something?
I mean, I always say, actually, this is a Bono quote. I'm not going to say it. He says that songs are like your parents. They tell you what to wear, they tell you what to think, and sometimes, you fall out of them sometimes. And so I think like my opinions about songs change all the time. There's some songs that I fell out of love with, then fall back in love with, and that can be on a yearly or daily basis. Like some songs that, oh, I don't like that song right now, and you go next day, oh, I love that song again, all the time. I think like I try and look back at stuff and go, yeah, but obviously, we release stuff, especially the early stuff, the very, very early Trusted songs, feel very like us finding our feet. And I'm like, maybe they're not us now, but like at the time, that's where we were at. Like that's what we did.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I like when I hear like Velocore, I'm like, that fits then, that fits now.
Yeah.
Some of the earlier stuff, I still think has a lot of value.
We still play Turbulence. Our first song we still play, still end
Yeah,
a lot of our
yeah.
shows, and I still love that song. It's got a lot. It's got like a youthful kind of punk energy that I love, and I still really love that song. And it's kind of like one of those songs that I'm really proud of.
I think it keeps it interesting, doesn't it? Like it's like lately when I go on stage, I perform obviously stuff from my album. I might perform a few covers that fit with what I do. I started playing some stuff I haven't released. I also started playing like stuff I wrote years ago, and I'm just kind of like throwing things around and seeing what fits. And that was one thing I noticed with your set, because you started with Velocore, I think, and then because there's still a few songs that I'm like, I don't know what the titles are. I know that you played Millennium, Self Destruct. I think you ended on. Mm-hmm. Did you play Eli? Yeah, I think I heard Eli. Did you play Rebel Song, or did I imagine that?
Yes, we did. Yes. Third song in, I think.
Yeah, I was. First of all, I was having the time of my life. I was like, oh my god, I know all the lyrics to these. But also, I guess from a musician standpoint, it's impossible not to look at it through that lens. And I looked at it like, oh, this is intelligent. The way they've kind of broken this down, like start with a classic, work your way through like all these different songs, and then end on your bit, sort of your main single that you push. It was just intelligent, and you could have done it the other way. And I'm sure you've done that before. You start,
you always experience the set list construction, like where to go with things. That's very, that's I think it's very important. The journey.
What are your favourites to play?
I really love playing Terrible Fight. I love playing that song.
That's a good one.
It's so joyous. It's so like I said it on stage. Writing upbeat songs is really tough. Writing sad songs is easy. You just wallow and be like, oh, and it comes across very authentic and very like brooding. But writing happy songs is hard, because being happy is quite a hard thing to make sound interesting, because it's so. I don't know. It's tough to not sound cheesy, and I think Terrible Fight is so joyous and so. It just builds. I don't know, when I play that song, it feels very. I don't know, like your arms reaching out. I just love it. It's just great. I just love that song so much.
I feel that way about Eli. I feel like that's a mature song. Like I remember listening to that for the first time and going, these are serious artists. They have their fun moments, but this is a serious tune.
I really like Eli. Eli's cool because it's kind of like It's very quirky. It's kind of very. I know it feels like if songs were characters at a party, it feels like some guy sitting in the corner, if his head down, and everyone's like, oh, why was he invited? It's like he's not, you know. He's got some interesting thing to say. And he's like, well, he's a bit weird, and I kind of get that from Eli. It's kind of a little bit. It's got like a sort of quirky kind of like nature to it. It's also like it's got some like really really like lovely elements. I love it's like lovely descending. I remember when we wrote that was a very collaborative process. That song. 'Cause I remember Finn. I remember we were in front of my computer, and Finn had the piano part, the main part of Eli, and it was all him. He was started like coming up with things. And I remember Dow coming over, and then he like started adding his guitar parts, and them two were really in it, and me and Dave weren't really in it. They were kind of constructing, and I came along and added those little synth parts in. It just kind of like very naturally kind of came together. It's just got like a really like kind of like quite haunting, kind of bit quirky, a bit like ooh, but it's kind of like it's quite pretty as well. I really like Eli. I love that song.
So this next question is interesting because I feel like, and I'll add some context before I ask it.
Yeah, sure.
I feel like you're not afraid to try anything, and I think it makes the music exciting. You never know where it's going to go, but it always kind of comes back to, okay, this feels like it belongs, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the question is, if the Trusted were to break every rule you've set for yourselves musically,
Yeah.
i.e., like no genre limits and just no limits at all, what would that experimental record sound like?
I mean, I would love to hear that, and I hope actually we get to that point because I would. I don't want there to be rules. I want, I love artists and bands who don't play by the rules. They just keep the ones that we all love are the ones that keep evolving. I want to, we want to evolve, and I feel like you want to stay somewhere, and I feel like rules in music are made to be broken. You've got to keep trying things. I mean, we've got a lot of songs written. We've got a lot of music, a lot of demos. Like we've got this demo, we've got hundreds and hundreds of songs. We've obviously got demos that are more the way we look at songs. We've got demos that are just like voice memos. Some demos are like Logic demos that are kind of like there, but they're missing bits. We've got more complete demos. We've got like there's like 30, 40 songs that like I think are great and I love to put out. And there's some stuff in there that I'm like, this. If we did this, I think people would be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" There's some interesting things in there that we're like, if we got the having the balls to drop them. But like,
I'm in the same boat as you, and right now I've got 2 albums and 2 EPs worth of stuff that I want to release. And that's not counting all the other shit I wrote. It's just like stuff that's kind of ready, middle, almost. Yeah. But also, I think something that's interesting is like when you put something to record and then you start playing it, sometimes you'll switch it up and change it. Like, for instance, I've transposed some of my songs, so I play them a couple of keys higher because they just feel...
That's big. Keys and tempo are a big part of the sound of the song, like very important.
Is there anything you've done like live that's different from record now?
No, actually.
Just kept it consistent.
Obviously, a lot of our songs we play with a SPD pad.
Mm-hmm.
All our synths and keyboards are on like a pad, so we can kind of like that acts like the fifth instrument. But so we're kind of playing to a click. But I think we spend a lot of time. We really do focus on the speed of the song when we're in. Like when we're in the studio, it's like how fast a song, how slow is a song, and trying to get that perfect tempo so it doesn't feel like it drags, it doesn't feel like it's too fast. But I think everything we play on stage at the moment is pretty much the tempo of the song as recorded. Yeah.
Do you have any pre-show rituals?
Mine is just walk. I'm a big walker. I love walking. A big pacer.
Pacing,
yeah. I pace a lot, and I feel like people just let me pace. I'll walk up and down. I'll walk around the block. I'll walk back and forward, not to grab anything or do anything, just to walk. I'll walk back in and out the green room.
So something I get, and I wanted to ask you about this because I noticed that I always get super nervous when I'm watching the band before or the artist before, and I know I'm next. I saw you watching, and I could tell you were nervous, and I was thinking like, I wonder what's going through his head. What goes through your head when you're sort of like
Well,
band
weirdly,
before?
this can sound very contradictory, but weirdly, I don't get nervous at all,
Interesting.
really, because I don't like because I'm like when I'm up there, when you're up there, like nothing else matters. What came before or after doesn't matter. It's what's happening in the moment.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're going to do our thing, and you're going to like it or you're not, and that's it. And I don't because I again, yeah, the only thing I get nervous about is things not working. Like I'm always that fear that like the pad's going to cut out or whatever. But actually performing, I'm like, no. Once I know the stage, I know where I'm playing. I've got enough room to move. I'm not going to fall over. I've got nothing in my way. Then I'm all right. And I think the band before, I was really just admiring how great they were and how tight they were, and the fact they had two guitars and no no bass.
Yeah, I noticed that. The backtrack was
Yeah,
very good
it was
considering.
amazing. And they were jumping on you, and I was like, great. And it's good. I want that because I think that makes you up your game. I'm like, if the band before you or after you is really good, not just really good, but great performers, and it's like, well, we've got to be amazing then. Otherwise, we're going to look awful. We've got to match them. We've got to be as good as them. What you don't want is someone before you to be crap because then it's like, well, whatever. It's got to be an element of like, they were so good. It's like, great, they're really good. That means we have also got to be really good. It's inspiring. It's like, great. It means we feel like this feels real. This feels like an actual, they were so good. I'm like, well, they're great. Their songs are great. They did a really good cover of that Fontaine's DC song. They're great. So we've got to be great. Otherwise, we're going to get swamped.
What are some hilarious or weird fan encounters that you'll never forget?
Um, uh, I think with not any sort of weird, because obviously all the fan encounters we've had have been lovely. Really, we've had some unusual ones. Like me and Finn were in Vegas the year before last. We were just there.
Las Vegas.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we're at this bar in near the old strip near Fremont Street. It's just this bar where like all the bar staff like dance on the tables. It's really cool. And we walked in there, and there was this girl at the bar, and she went, "Oh my god, you're in the Trusted."
Oh my
And it
fucking
was like,
god.
wow. And she got a picture of us, and that was really cool because it was like we're in this
Wow.
random place, this random city in the middle of the desert. So that was one of my favorites. I also uh,
Dude, that must have blown your fucking minds.
yeah, well, yeah. I was like, oh, I mean, at first I didn't believe it. At first I was like, oh, come on. She just like looked, but then it was real. I was like, oh my god, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, this can't be. This is someone's. That was one of my favorites. That was really cool. Um, but yeah, just like it's nice, especially like when you're out locally at like bars and people come over and talk to you. Really lovely, and pictures is getting one of the pictures really nice. Um, Yeah, my favorite encounters. I love two of my favorite fan interactions is when someone posts a cover. I love that, especially when you get like a female voice. We've had some really talented female artists have like done like a trusted cover, like Arkansas, for example. And I love hearing our songs, my lyrics are voiced through like a different timbre, like a different voice, like a higher voice, like a different kind of. That's great. That's so cool. Yeah, I wouldn't. I've not had any. They've all been amazing. Everyone
That's
who's
cool.
been. Yeah, I've not. There's nothing been. There's never been anything uncomfortable. Or it's all been lovely.
Okay, this is a bit of a fun one.
Go on.
If you had to trade lives with one of your bandmates for a day, who would you pick, and what's the first thing you'd do?
Oh, I've got none of them.
Sorry, guys.
I don't want to be any of them. God, you try and spend hours with them, and you'd be like, God, Jesus.
It's all about me.
They're just all annoying. They're all annoying. All three of them. They're really annoying. I've had enough. I've had enough of them. I've had enough.
Goddamn.
Or I'd say for practical reasons, maybe our drummers, so I can play drums. I can't play drums. It's my blind spot. I can play guitar all right. I can play a few chords. I can play piano okay, a few chords.
That was a
But
question I was going to ask you actually.
yeah,
Do you just prefer not playing guitar on
yeah,
stage?
I
Yeah.
like being like I'm the opposite. Most people want to play guitar so they can hide, which is fair enough. Like they've got something to do with their hands. I like not having any. I like being completely free and using my effort just being a really good singer rather than being
You're good at that. You're very expressive. Like, I got some great videos of you, and I was like,
yeah.
this is a guy who's very comfortable in his skin when he's on
Yeah,
stage. It's
yeah. I
cool to
want to say I
see.
feel really. Yes, I don't feel comfortable so much off stage. But on stage, I feel very comfortable. And I like just because obviously it's not even for the audience. It's more from like all the life changing gigs that I've been to, where I've been to gigs where I've seen people at the front who've been very like that's such a big impact on me. I'm like I want to be like that. So it's more like me that paying tribute and um almost imitating that kind of that style of frontmanship because that to me is what I like, and it's like it's more for my own sake. Like I enjoy it's not I enjoy doing it. I just love being up there and performing. I love being a front man. I love it. It's my favorite thing to do ever is doing that. And guitar. And it's funny. My band always take the piss because it's always like half the band are like, "Oh, I'll play more guitar," and the other half's like, "Don't play guitar." It's like, oh, not the guitar. Oh, Tom playing the guitar again. Oh, you're too loud. Oh, it's too. Oh, if you just didn't play guitar, we have to bring it along with us. It's one less thing to bring. Another one. Can you play guitar so I can do more of this? I'm like, oh, for God's sake, me playing guitar is like a
Feels like it'd be an odd image. I can't imagine it.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
So I play on some songs, some trusted songs. I we need it for, and
Does it feel
uh,
wrong when you do it?
yeah, I don't know. I don't feel I don't yeah, listen. If I don't my way, I never play guitar again. Um,
Well,
I can I'm not a great guitarist. I know chords. I can't solo. I know chords. I'm mediocre guitarist at best.
do you ever
Same
write
piano.
any of the riffs, or do you just
Yeah, I mean
focus?
self-destruct is my riff.
Okay.
That chord sequence. That's me.
So you yeah,
Uh,
when you're writing, you'll sort of pick up a guitar or piano or whatever, and
yeah,
you
piano
start.
and like
Yeah.
but like that's why I learned guitar really. I mean I learned guitar late. I was 16 when I learned guitar. I learned piano. I was just purely a singer. And then I started learning piano when I was like 13, but I had a classical teacher. It was very, very, wrong note, very like, oh, very, very, which is the way it should be, like very formulaic. But obviously, I started like kind of like learning sort of like the more sort of pop chords. And then I did that mainly because I was like, well, I'm in a band with these bunch of guys, and they can all like they can write, and all I can do is write lyrics, melodies. I want to be able to contribute something musically. So
Hmm.
I kind of forced myself to learn guitar more from a writing point of view, so I can write stuff, not because I want to play songs. Weirdly, the first songs I was playing guitar were my own. When I was 16. I was in this band just before the Trusted. I was in a band we were called Duke. We were like a sort of like garage rock kind of blues, Jack White kind of thing. And the guitarist of this band, he was he was teaching me chords, and I was using those chords to kind of write the songs we were playing. So I was playing the first songs was playing were the songs that we were writing, and that was my way in. I didn't learn guitar to play other people's songs, and I obviously then went on to learn how to play other people's songs. But that's kind of how it started. It wasn't so much, learning guitar for because I wanted to play, whatever. It was because I wanted to like write with guitar. Yeah.
What has music taught you about life?
Oh, everything. It's taught me everything really. It's like I come from a very musical family. Not talent that I've got no, but my family can't. There's no one in my family who plays any music, but music lovers. My dad, massive music fan. He was born in the '60s and kind of obsessed with music, like obsessed with it to the point of like it became his entire identity, like following David Bowie around and
Wow.
Genesis and Talking Heads and Ian Dury and Elvis Costello and being at early U2 gigs and then like Prince, all that stuff, Van Morrison. So from the word go, it was I had no choice really. I was kind of like, you look at any sort of baby videos of me, and there's always music on in the background. I was exposed to the Blues Brothers very early on as a movie and was obsessed with it. And there's, me being two, I was performing at two to stuff, always doing music, always performing. He took me to my first. He took me to see Peter Gabriel when I was 7, and it was at that moment where I was like, "That's what I want to do." That was it. I remember watching that gig. I remember we were at Wembley Arena. I was 7 years old. I remember walking down those staircase Z to the car park. I remember walking down those steps. I remember there's a window in front of me. I remember going, "That's what I want to do. That's it. That's it." I was 7. I was like, "That's what I want to do." So it's been very much a very, very powerful heartbeat in my life. It's there. It's kind of like influenced every single decision I've ever made, ever. For good, for good or bad, it has been the thing that's influenced everything.
I gotta say, like, because I deliberately don't go back and watch old shows. I never do. I just leave them as is. They are a
Yeah,
moment in time.
yeah,
I live in the moment, much like yourself. And
yeah,
I did think about going and watching our old show together, but I thought, no, I'm going to leave it. But I do remember kind of the feel of the conversation versus
yeah,
this. And one of the questions I was going to ask you, but I kind of feel it's already been answered really, was about like, what is the difference between now and then? But I feel like the real difference is that you've grown and matured so much in that time, and you understand your sound, being an artist.
yeah.
You seem more confident, you seem more self-assured, like it's just clicking there. But I want to ask the question to you: how do you feel you've sort of developed in the last 3 years?
Yeah, I think you've answered the question perfectly. I think like you've kind of like you keep doing music stuff, and you keep refining things. And yeah, again, if you ask we did this again in another 3 years or six
I'd love
years,
to.
yeah, it'd be great. You'd see. Hope that you look back now and go, God, I was so this then. Like the plan is, you want to be evolving to the point until you die. Like basically, you're
Yes.
always like until I want to be like you want to be like in your 80s and still learning like how to be a better musician. Like it's a never ending thing. That's what's so great about it. It's kind of you see all these big artists who like they will play Wembley Stadium, headline Glastonbury, they'll be the number one selling whatever, and yet they're still they don't just go, right, I'm done, I'm going to go disappear. Some people do, but a lot of them keep going. There's a reason why the Rolling Stones didn't retire. There's a reason why Paul McCartney is still playing, because they're still feel like that an 18-year-old who's like wants to learn and wants to evolve and wants to be better. And that's what it should be and the way it'll always be. And, I feel like I'm always evolving. And yeah, I feel like every conversation we would say we had a set date every year for like 20 years. I'd hope you'd see a progression, over those 20 years. That's the hope, you know.
I want to say a massive thank you for being on the show. Also, just for being just lovely over the years, lovely in person.
Thank you for taking your time to talk to us, talk to me, talk to the band, come to the show. I know it's not easy to come down from Manchester to London. It's a long trek. I was in Manchester, the other week seeing Bruce Springsteen. I was only out there very briefly. It was Bruce Springsteen.
And you didn't tell me.
I was in and out. I literally was there, for the gig out. I didn't have time for anything. It was like, otherwise,
God damn it.
if I was there for like a day or two, I'd been like,
but like, yeah, come hit me up, man.
it was very much like I was in, out. I went and watched him, had a great time, and I was gone. I didn't even, I would love to spend some time in Manchester and chill out and hang out. It'd been great, but like, I know it's a long journey and it's not easy. And I appreciate you taking time to come down, check out our show, chat to us, and yeah,
it was so worth it. Like I'm a big fan. I love what you're doing. I'm excited for the future. It just that meant a lot to me, just on a level, just in general. It was just cool. It was just it was cool seeing a band that you listen to doing their thing and doing it so well, and also just how humble and down to earth you guys are. I think it just lends to the credibility of the band.
I don't want to ever change. I don't want ever to not be because I always hope that there's people that I look up to, and there's artists and musicians that I love and would love to meet one day. And I just, your dream is him to be, you know, nice and whatever. And for me, I want to be. I don't want to change really. I don't care what happens. Say whatever happens doesn't matter. But say things happen in a good way. I hope I'm the same person that I am now. I always will like the same things. I won't change. That's the plan. I don't want to change. I like who I am, and I don't want to change. So I hope that remains.
Right. Final question for you. Tie things up for today. Now, I will let you know that we are recording this on the 27th of May. I believe this is going to be hitting somewhere in mid to late June.
Well,
so just keep
we might
that
have a
in
new song
mind.
out by then. We're going to the studio on Thursday to record something.
Oh
There's
my
two songs
God.
we're recording potentially, and we're not sure which one's coming out first. So it's either going to be a very joyous song or a really angry song. And so right now, when this is out there in the world, we'll probably know what that song is, and it's either something really angry or really happy, and that'll make sense. But right now it doesn't make sense.
So that's the next thing.
Yeah,
That's coming up. Yeah.
Ah,
I was going to ask about that. Yeah, upcoming projects, dates, etc.
yeah.
But
Studio, playing Latitude. We've got lots of festivals lined up.
oh yeah, where else are you playing?
We're playing a festival called Lazy Days, which is great. We're playing the Lightning Seeds, and that's gonna be great. We're supporting Rat Boy at a festival called Summer Slam.
Yeah, I
Rat
saw that
Boy,
one.
but he's a great artist. Got other things in the fire, and new music which we're really excited about, which could be interesting. Again, I have no idea which song it's going to be, so I can't say it's going to be this because it could be the complete opposite thing. That's causing a lot of arguments in the band at the moment, but they're good arguments, and I've got my opinions, but I'm just a front man. That's what I'm saying.
Absolute pleasure, Tom. Thank you so much for being on the
Thank
show.
you.
And just thank you.
Yeah, let's talk again. Let's keep talking.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
We'll set a date down the line.
Yes.
And we'll see where we're at then.
Exactly.
Cool. And to all the listeners of the Christian Reeve podcast, thank you so much for watching and listening. I hope you enjoyed this show as much as I did. Go out of your way to check out The Trusted. Go listen to them everywhere online. I promise you won't regret it. They absolutely have my seal of approval. And go see them live because they're brilliant. And I was so stoked that I went. I'm clamoring for the next time I can go see them. So, yeah, go check them out. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And I'll see you in the next one.